The Prism Project. Dawn broke over the city as Thalassa arrived at the Prism Materials Convention. This event was vital for her design firm's future, as they were finally ready to show their work. She gripped her briefcase firmly, feeling the weight of their new prototype inside. She looked for her partner, Arvid, among the early arrivals near the entrance. Arvid was already at their booth, checking the physical appearance of their display. He held a prototype phone case made from a secret polymer compound they had developed over the last year. It had a sleek matte finish that caught the light perfectly without reflecting any glare. Arvid wanted everything to look flawless for the judges. Thalassa joined him to check the technical data. They knew their material had to be different. Most recycled plastics were too brittle and would break under a heavy load. Their goal was to create something that could withstand extreme pressure. If this worked, it would change their entire industry, because durability was the name of the game. As the doors opened, a gathering of onlookers began to circle their booth. A tense negotiation was already happening at the table next to them between two rival tech giants. However, Thalassa stayed focused on her own presentation. She needed to present their data clearly to the investors who were slowly approaching. Arvid nodded at her to show his support. They began a live stress test to show the material's strength. The heat in the small demonstration chamber became almost unbearable as the machine worked. A sudden surge of power made the lights flicker. Static electricity started to sting Arvid's arm as he adjusted the sensors, but he didn't pull away from the machine. "Should we push the pressure to the maximum limit?" Arvid whispered. Thalassa hesitated for a moment while looking at the gauges. "It depends on the risk factor," she replied quietly. She didn't want to look dumb by breaking the only prototype they had in front of the crowd. They didn't come here just to hang out, they came to win. It was time for the penultimate test, the last but one before the final verdict from the judges. Thalassa carefully poured a fine white powder which looked just like flour over the material to test its seal. Any tiny gap in the compound would let the dust in and ruin the internal circuits of the phone. The test reached its apex as the hydraulic press descended slowly. The material had to bear a weight 10 times its own without bending. Arvid watched for any sign of failure, holding his breath as the numbers climbed. However, the prototype's resilience was incredible, and it remained perfectly straight under the heavy load. She thought they would succeed, and she was right. It was a strong finish to a very long presentation. Thalassa pointed to a specific paragraph in their report that explained how the company was set to flourish with this new technology. To celebrate their success, Arvid placed a small glass flower on top of the indestructible case. As dusk settled over the convention center, the crowds finally thinned out. There is always a trade-off between safety and innovation, but they had found the perfect balance. Unless something changed overnight, their firm was now on a firm path to success. The future of their design team looked brighter than ever.